Can a human right-based approach really work and accelerate the delivery of sustainable and quality water and sanitation services to everyone, everywhere, forever? At the global level, the international community recognized the human right to safe drinking water and sanitation at the UN General Assembly in July 2010, giving birth to the resolution, "The human right to safe drinking water and sanitation is derived from the right to an adequate standard of living and inextricably related to the right to the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health, as well as the right to life and human dignity." The recognition of safe drinking water as a human right means that states have to respect a number of principles inherent in all human rights, specifically non-discrimination, access to information, participation, accountability, and sustainability. This triggered several countries, including Kenya, to include and specify in their constitutions and water laws the right to water and sanitation as recognized in international human rights law.
In the Kenyan context, the Action Learning Initiative within Hrba was very interesting in the context that we faced a scenario where we had a newly promulgated constitution which provided for the right to water and sanitation, and therefore as we implemented the human rights-based approach, it was very important to us first to take these key contextual issues around the implementation of the Constitution in terms of advising how we'll be implementing the Hrba Action Learning Initiative.
The Kenya government has committed to adopting a human rights-based approach in the sector, as expounded in the National Water Services Strategy. Existing legislation, particularly the Water Act 2002, initiated an important reform process, helping to revolutionize the water sector. However, the new Water Bill 2014 is yet to adequately capture the role of county governments in WASH provision, a key barrier for providing the space to realize the right to water in Kenya. Despite remaining gaps, the policy and regulatory framework in Kenya sets a promising basis to build upon. But how does this all fare in practice? WaterAid's Hrba Action Learning Initiative provided the ideal opportunity to test this out.
The Human Rights-Based Approach Action Learning Initiative is part of an 8-country initiative by WaterAid to find out the applicability of the human rights-based approach in the delivery of water projects as opposed to the supply approach. In the Kenyan scenario, we began this experiment with a number of partners, but eventually ended up concentrating our work with Umande Trust in Mukuru Kwanjenga, the other partner being Caritas Meru, who implemented this in the rural context in Meru County.
Bana, mimi Mkenya nahitaji maji.
Mkenya na maji ni yangu.
Hapana, katiba inasema kila mtu anafaa kuaccess maji, time yote anataka, na ile wasa anafikiria maji iko.
The Hrba pilot project focused on the urban constituency of Mukuru Kwanjenga, a slum settlement situated on the outskirts of Nairobi. With an estimated population of 700,000, this informal settlement has grown very fast in the last few years, covering an area as large as Kibera, Nairobi's largest slum. The The physical geography of Mukuru, with swampy soils and narrow streets, makes it difficult for wastewater to escape, causing high incidences of diseases such as cholera, malaria, and typhoid fever. Faced with this context, where did the project start? The crucial first step involved assisting the community members to collect data for a baseline study, to map out the key players and main issues relating to water provision in the area, structured around the key concepts of water accessibility, availability, quality, safety, affordability, and accountability, among others. So who emerged as the key players? The HRBA talks of duty bearers and right holders. In the case of Mukuru, the duty bearers relate to the government, and notably the county government, mandated under the new constitution to deliver water services, with Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company, the utility responsible for the actual provision of water services. At the other end of the spectrum are the community members themselves, the actual water users and right holders. However, the baseline study revealed a far more complex picture of water provision in Mukuru. The majority of the actual water points in the slum are managed by informal service providers, known as water vendors, many of which are part of a cartel that controls the distribution and thereby the price at which water is sold to users. In addition, various NGOs and CBOs are involved in supporting water service delivery in the area. Understanding and unpacking the various roles, power relations, and linkages between these different actors is key to identifying the gaps, weaknesses, interests, and incentives within the setting in order for the water users to set about challenging, influencing, and ultimately changing the situation for them to realize their right to water. So what are the current key barriers halting Mukuru residents' right to water? Firstly, there are serious governance issues, including unregulated informal service providers, rampant corruption, and the absence of land rights.
Maji bado inapiganiwa kwa sababu water vendors, kila mtu alikuwa anachukua na mita. So kila mtu alikuwa anataka kuuza kile mwingine. Ikawa ni challenge tena, ilileta shida wakati imewekwa. Hata wengine wanaenda wanaipromoa. Hata unapata na mmoja ndio mwingine asiende kupata. Kutoka kopi maji iliingia kiasi. Lakini bado hizo pipes zilienda zikafungwa. Na tunaona ni kama hawa cartels wanaitwa cartels. Kuna style walikuwa wanatumia wakichanga pesa, wanaenda wanaonga watu wa water company. So mtu anakuja anafunga hizo pipes.
Saa zingine wanafungia watu maji na maji haipatikani. Unapata kuna mlolongo kubwa ya maji, of which watu wanaweza enda hata bila maji siku mbili. Wanaenda long distance kutafuta maji.
Angalia kwa makini hii area, kuna wakati ambayo hizi water kiosk haikuwa. So cartels, wale ambao walikuwa wanatoa maji from far, unaweza kukuta kama hapa na maji inatoka huko kama Reara ama huko nyuma ya Imara Daima. So hao watu walikuwa wanafanya nini? Wanaleta huko na wanauza kwa bei ya juu. Wakati ambayo tumeanza kuuza maji kwa hizi water kiosk kama hizi zile ziko karibu, unaweza kukuta kama hao wenyewe wanaweza interfere na line ama wana interfere na sluice valve ndio maji ikose kufanya nini kuja kwa wakati mwingine.
These power holders, being the cartels, have isolated the resource in such a way that they can even use it to define a number of societal interactions. We see within this documentary a situation where a young girl is convinced to leave school just because there is this power holder who has the resource and is seen as a person of power or a wealthy person because they own the resource. And we are able to demonstrate within this documentary how the HRBA Action Initiative was able to bring change within such context.
Secondly, in terms of inequitable water access and poor service quality, demonstrated by substandard infrastructure, insufficient water points, extremely poor water quality, exorbitant prices, and insecure environment.
kama hii ni substandard pipe. Kuna kiraka hapa ukiona imefungwa na hii pipe imepita kwa hii mtaro. So hii pipe ikipasuka, hii maji na hiyo inachanganyika. Alafu watu wanakunywa hii maji. Sasa unapata watu wanagonjeka, watoto wanagonjeka.
Na saa nyingine kwa line sasa maji iko mingi. Si mwingine anakutongoza ndio akuchotee bure na usipange line queue ikiwa mingi. Sasa wewe unapitisha mtungi yako na wekewa maji mtu anaenda. So kuna challenge na maji sana line jioni line inakuwa mingi. Hata na mtoto akienda kupanga line siku na wengine wanamchuna pale kwa line. Wewe tunakupenda, wewe tunakufanya hii. Sasa hiyo nayo ina affect masomo. Hiyo ndio sababu hatutaki jioni kutuma mtoto nje. Story ya huyu msichana, kuna kijana ambaye alikuwa anauza maji na alikuwa anampembeleza wakati wa maji, hakuna anamwekea maji. Saa nyingine akiuza maji ile pesa anamshtua nayo. Sasa wakati ilijulikana wazazi walisikia ujumbe, ndio wakampeleka kwa chairman wa kijiji. Chairman naye akaita wazazi wake, hata aliita huyo kijana. Huyo kijana hakuwa na kazi ila tu hiyo maji. Sasa alimwekea lazima aende nyumbani ndio huyo msichana apate nafasi nzuri ya kuendelea na masomo.
Within the community setup, we also found some very serious and disturbing issues. One of them being the issue of sex for water. Sometimes certain households are not able to provide such favor in terms of cash, and it ends up being a demand for sex.
Lastly, in terms of knowledge and access to information, through water users not knowing their rights, limited access to water policies and regulations, absence of platforms for users to interact with providers, and no space for public participation in county budget decisions and allocations.
Watu wa Mukuru kwa jenga kwa sababu ni maskini, hawajui rights zao, lakini wao wenyewe hawawezi wakajitetea. Kwa sababu ya umaskini wao, wanaogopa, wanaona kama hawana haki. Wao tu ni kuishi tu, wanaishi tu kuishi tu, hawana haki.
This is the complex and challenging setting in which KEWASNET and local partner Umande launched the human rights-based approach. So what actions and tools were used? 2 key strands may summarize the approach used. First of all, the project focused on empowering the right holders through a series of awareness-raising, sensitization and knowledge-building actions. This included establishing right to water and sanitation champions, training of trainer sessions, role plays and water point mapping.
And as a champion, my duty is to go to the community and I let them know hii maji tunapata si masafi ni kwa sababu ya hii na hii as per the constitution, na si tunaleta vita. No, we want to come together and we want to speak on kupata maji kwa njia ile ina the right channel, and a lot of advocacy and awareness to the community members through forums. The community, they live as if though they are caged, because they don't have a voice and have their voice.
Kama ulikuwa unataka maji ungekuja mapema.
Wewe unasikia vile nakwambia? Katiba inasema article 43(1)(d) inasema nini? Human right, maji ni haki.
Combined, these actions aimed at strengthening the community's understanding of their rights and improving their organization to interact with duty bearers and service providers to advocate and claim their rights. Secondly, and in parallel, the project launched actions to improve accountability mechanisms between duty bearers and right holders. This included water development pacts, complaint mechanisms, and platforms for dialogue and feedback. The tactics behind the HRBA in Mukuru therefore targeted both ends of the duty bearer-right holder nexus. On one side, supporting and equipping the right holders with the knowledge, structure, and skills to start demanding their rights, and on the other side, working to establish an enabling environment for duty bearers to be held to account and become more responsive in performing their duties.
Now, the human right-based approach in the KEWASNET experience was a journey of learning. And in our case, we took a long time to understand what HRBA was all about and how best we could implement it in the Kenyan context. And we asked ourselves, did the community take leadership as would be required within an HRBA initiative? And did they understand why they would want to take leadership? Secondly, we would ask ourselves, did the support organizations integrate the principles of HRBA within their work and within the implementation of the Action Learning Initiative in the Kenyan context?
Many lessons emerged regarding the preparation and implementation phases of the HRBA project, but 5 lessons stood out clearly.
Watu wanafaa wache kutupatupa takataka ili watuharibia mazingira. Tunafaa tusimame kama wakazi wa kijiji, tukomeshe hiyo tabia mbaya.
Firstly, the importance and value of investing in a thorough baseline survey with an analysis that goes beyond describing the situation to one that seeks to understand and unpack the power structures and relationships and the key barriers hindering change. Secondly, the need for a detailed partner selection process followed by an intensive mentoring phase, as the success or failure of an HRBA project is heavily determined by the level of understanding of the core HRBA principles, the presence of sound facilitation skills, and strong relationships based on trust. Thirdly, the recognition that changing mindset is an ongoing process and is time-consuming. This applies equally to duty bearers, right holders, and the facilitators supporting the process. Fourthly, the importance of going beyond sensitizing people about their rights to actually equipping them with advocacy skills to enable them to take action and make clear demands in their interactions with duty bearers.
Ndio tuko na haki ya kuandamana, ndio. Lakini mtu waambie tukienda tunaenda na njia gani na tukirudi tunarudi na njia gani.
Lastly, the understanding that right to water champions within the community can be useful in organizing right holders' demands, but the need for them to constantly interact with a wider community to fully unite right holders and create a collective voice in demanding change.
We are happy that we have taken the first steps towards implementation of this human right to water and sanitation, and we are happy to provide leadership to the sector towards delivery of this human right to water and sanitation. And as KEWASNET, part of this taking lead will be integrating the very principles of human right-based approaches in our strategic plan that is upcoming between 2015 and 2019.
We look forward to being able to build on this first experience of the HRBA to enable us to deepen, replicate, and scale up this approach across our program of work. Firstly, we see great opportunities to increase the visibility of the HRBA actions in Mukuru and more generally the approach in Kenya by using the media to publicize the water development pacts and put pressure on duty bearers to deliver, improving the water development pacts format and content to elevate their status and recognition, making the HRBA a central piece of KEWASNET's new 5-year strategic plan and be seen as a leader for the approach in the sector. Secondly, the scope for strengthening the quality of right holders' influence, advocacy and demands that lead to better and faster change by budget tracking advocacy to equip right holders with data and information to make evidence-based demands, supporting right holders to use water point mapping study results to highlight unserved areas and the inequity of distribution of water points, and further mentoring of partners to emphasize their role as facilitators and not implementers. Finally, there is a lot of scope for KEWASNET to explore new ways and tools to reinforce the organization's learning in applying HRBA, such as piloting the HRBA in rural and peri-urban areas in Kenya to increase the understanding and applicability of HRBA in different contexts, and promote the legislation of water vendors' processes in informal settings, as well as advocating for stricter regulation procedures for water providers.